Welcome back. It's time for Lefties Losing It, and another Hollywood actress has decided to show us how daft and out of touch she is. Here is star of Grey's Anatomy, Ellen Pompeo, just being comically clueless and a know-it-all at the same time. It's not a good combo.
I think we all need a lot more empathy right now, and so I hope we take that away. I mean, why are old white men the only ones who are allowed to be felons?
Right.
No one else can stay in this country if they're a felon, but somehow if you're...
And he's not even that white.
Oh, just a profound point. How proud was she of what she just said? Really? But you can't expect someone who is this dim and out of touch to understand why Americans want illegal immigrants, particularly gangbangers, out of the country. Watch this.
Your $20 million salary was publicly shared to the world. How did you feel when that came out?
Well, my manager at the time said something to me that literally hit me like a brick. He said, are you ready to be unpopular? I was like, what do you mean? And he was like, well, I just don't want you to think that everyone's going to go in and cheer for you and clap for you and bow to you and think you're the dopest thing ever. Because there's going to be a lot of people who are not happy for you. And that had never occurred to me.
What? It had never occurred to her that people may be critical, may be unhappy that some second-rate actress is earning $20 million? Let's check in now with some leftist protesters who are asked about their job status. Cue much hysterics and victim playing.
I got to ask, it's the middle of the day on Wednesday. Do you have a job?
I do. Wednesdays, I have some flexibility, and during the day, I'm able to go do stuff. I have stuff I gotta do.
We leave our jobs because
tomorrow.
Blood is not more precious than the resident children. That no salary, no slave wage is enough to stop me from actually raising my voice.
Now let's have some fun watching Dylan Mulvaney run in heels. Here he is mocking womanhood again. He's notched up more than 1,000 days of mocking womanhood, and he now has a billboard in Times Square.
Oh my God, it's day 1096 of being a girl. It's year 3, and that's me on a billboard in Times Square. Ah! I've got 3 Bs, a book, a bath bomb, and a billboard. Oh, wow. Now I think we should hand out some paper doll books to some of these people out in Times Square. Let's go.
Now, don't go accusing the Democrats of being in a cult. Not like they'd be mindless sheep regurgitating the same phrase over and over again. The latest talking point is all about this moment.
The strength that we have is in this moment.
Listen to your constituents. Center them in this moment.
But I can tell you that there are a lot of people that are watching his leadership in this moment. This is the moment.
I think about what's happening, in this moment.
What's important is that we meet this moment.
So are these current Democrats the ones to meet the moment?
What do you want to see us doing right now in this moment?
And which Democrats are actually going to stand up against Elon Musk and Donald Trump in this moment?
In this moment, the Democrats' arguments against deportations, against stopping illegal immigration, amount to just one thing: their love of cheap foreign labour. This blue-haired Texan is part of the problem.
Who's going to build the Texas detention camps? Who's going to build them? I'll wait.
And to another pitifully cheap and nasty attack from New Democrat favourite Jasmine Crockett. Here the privately educated Congresswoman mocks Texas Governor Greg Abbott, who is disabled and in a wheelchair, calling him Governor Hot Wheels.
As we in these hot-ass Texas streets, honey, y'all know we got Governor Hot Wheels down there. Come on now. And the only thing hot about him is that he is a hot-ass mess, honey. So yes.
Oh, classy work there from the Democrat Congresswoman. Let's bring in journalist and author Batia Ungasagon. Oh my gosh, what can you say about that? How low can they go?
It's just so utterly appalling. And I honestly had to listen to the clip a few times because the idea that a member of Congress would be mocking the disability of a man who had a horrific accident at 26 and then spent the rest of his life in public service to this nation and never let his disability hold him back from serving the people who he loves. It's so shocking to me. And the fact that that audience laughed, I don't know if your audience could hear that, Rita, but the audience at this human rights campaign event just burst out laughing at this mockery of a disabled person. You have to see it to believe it. And I think it really reveals that the Democrats truly check their morals at the door when it comes to anybody who disagrees with them politically. They owe them not even the most basic common decency. Truly a sad, low moment.
Now, 60 Minutes did a fluff piece on George Clooney, and they asked about the role the actor played in pressuring Joe Biden to step down. He gave a rather self-delighted, self-serving answer.
Happy you did it?
Yeah. I'll make it kind of easy. I was raised to tell the truth. I had seen the president up close for this fundraiser, and I was surprised. And so I feel as if there was a lot of profiles in cowardice in my party through all of that. And I was not proud of that. And I also believed I had to tell the truth.
But George Clooney, you must think we're all suffering from Biden's cognitive decline, Batia, because I remember, and I'm sure you do, the timeline. So far from bravely calling out the obvious, George Clooney, in fact, did a massive star-studded fundraiser for Joe Biden. You'll remember that. It featured, among others, Jack Black.
A few days ago, my manager called me and said George Clooney and Julia Roberts wanted me to help out the president and speak here tonight, and I said, I am in. When and where?
That was the event where President Biden froze and had to be assisted off the stage by Barack Obama. And then the White House lied to all of us, saying that the videos of this were all right-wing disinformation, that we shouldn't be believing our lying eyes. That happened. Then around 2 weeks later was the infamous Biden debate disaster, where he just gave the most incoherent performance yet. And it was some 2 weeks after that, when Biden was steadfastly refusing to step down, that we got that George Clooney op-ed. So this suggestion that he saw Joe Biden up close and decided, I've got to be a brave warrior here and take a stand. Come on, who is he kidding?
It's so funny, Rita, because you're exactly right about the timeline. What we just saw was George Clooney acting, lying, pretending that he is some sort of, this beacon of moral courage, when he is the opposite. He is the biggest coward, because as you point out, he saw the decline, but when he had privileged information that he was granted due to the fact that he's a gazillionaire celebrity who has access to the Obamas and to Biden, when he had access to that information about Biden's decline that we, the American people, didn't have because we're not gazillionaires, he kept it to himself. And he was willing to keep that money rolling and to get that person who he thought was senile into the Oval Office again, so long as none of the American people knew that the president was senile. It's so horrifying. And he only spoke up when the American people had a front row seat to the problem themselves at that debate. And his corruption, Clooney and Obama's corruption at hiding the senility of the president, was revealed to everybody. That's when he wrote the op-ed, which, by the way, many people think Obama pushed him to write because Obama was too much of a coward to put his name on it. So these people are the biggest cowards. They are millionaires who have access to power in an unbelievable way, wealth and power, and they were gatekeeping information that the American people desperately needed, so long as they thought they could get away with putting a puppet president back in the Oval Office. Truly, cowardice and corruption rolled into one.
Absolutely. And you know what? He probably would have had plenty of access before that star-studded fundraiser where it was obvious to everyone that Biden was in no shape to be president. And they all kept silent. Not only did they say nothing, but they attacked those of us who pointed out the obvious, that there was obviously something wrong with the president. We were accused of disinformation and right-wing conspiracies and altering videos when it was all there. Now, you've done incredible work. You've written extensively about the political realignments that we've seen in the US. You understand them better than most. And that has included an exodus from big blue states like California and New York to the big red states like Texas and Florida. And finally now, Democrats like Bill Maher are understanding what those trends mean, and they're worried about it.
California is projected to lose 3 seats, New York 2. Also going to lose a seat, Minnesota, Oregon, Rhode Island, Illinois, all blue states. Who's getting these? Texas, Florida, Idaho, and Utah. I mean, this looks like game over.
That's fascinating implications for that. How do you see those trends impacting America's political future?
It's funny because when you talk to Republicans who live in those states, they're like, don't come, don't bring your stupid liberal ideas here. So they're a little bit worried about it, I think. But I think this reflects a larger trend in America, which is every single state in the last election moved to the right, even liberal states. So you have people moving out of liberal states to conservative states, literally moving to the right. And then you have just that movement within those states. And in addition to the sort of political realignment we've seen along class lines to where the Democrats are now the party of the rich and the Republicans are the party of the working class, you've seen a realignment of like the cool factor. So it used to be the Democrats were the party of young people, of cool, of hip, of everything that was sort of cutting edge. And the Republicans were the sort of old fuddy-duddies, you know? And now it's the exact opposite. Young people overwhelmingly voted for Donald Trump, especially young men. And the GOP feels edgy. It feels cutting edge. And it feels like the party where cool things are happening and where young people want to be identified. And meanwhile, the Democratic Party is the party of kind of cringe and old people and wealth and the establishment and this kind of staid attachment to failing ideas and failing cities. So, you know, the cultural realignment, I think, is just as significant as the political and the class realignment.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the Democrats have just become the party of victimhood, of miserable women and weak men. And it's like, you're right, it's not a cool group to be a part of. Who would have thought 20, 30 years ago that it would be the right side of politics that would be championing free speech and free expression? No one saw that coming, and an end to wars when you've got the Democrats wanting to fund these forever wars. But Tia, it's always a pleasure. Thank you so much for your time tonight.
Thank you so much, Rita. God bless you. Always wonderful being here with you and your audience.